So greetings, Karen Clay, Somatic Unwinding. We're going to complete our Psoas series today by ending up standing. So let's begin as we have, lying on the back with the legs extended, please. And this time we're actually going to do a stretch. So come onto your back, please. And bring the roller underneath your sacrum. Look how low this is on my pelvis. It's not up here in my small of my back. It's really underneath the bone in the back of my pelvis. Okay. So now what we're going to do is let's draw the left knee to the chest and hold on to it comfortably. And comfortably close to you, but don't draw it in as tight as it can. You just want it to be supported. Then we're going to do what we did last week, which is to creep the heel of the opposite leg further and further away on the floor, thinking about what you can lengthen between your lower back and your groin. And at some point very early on, you'll start to feel a stretch right about here. So here's the sticky outy bone. Here's the crest of my pelvis if I were going to put my hand on my hip. And where I would feel a stretch is just a little bit lower than that sticky outy bone. I want to feel that stretch all by itself with my heel supported, my right heel, without my abdominals tightening. So as soon as I feel a stretch, I stop and pause. I'm not looking for a stretch in my thigh. I'm not looking for a stretch in my other hip flexors. Again, I'm just looking to isolate the psoas by doing this in a supported position with my weight resting on my heel. Very important that the heel is not in the air. Feel what happens when you bring your heel in the air. Your abs tighten and you're dead meat. You're not going to ever stretch your psoas in that situation. So just let the leg lengthen as far as possible. And then you do this little pumping motion where you lengthen your toes towards the floor and lengthen the knee just a little bit. Let me give you a better angle of that. Lengthening the toes. I'm pushing the back of the knee towards the floor a little bit. If you do it that subtly, you'll actually be asking the psoas to lengthen rather than getting involved in this superficial musculature. So it's really your game. It's really your process from this point forward. You just want to give a very gentle reminder or invitation for this line inside you to lengthen. When you're ready to stop, please follow my instructions carefully. You've been working your right side. Roll towards your right side. Keep holding on to the left leg. Draw your heel, right heel towards your pelvis. Hold on to it and come back into center. That's to avoid a rupture, or I don't mean a literal rupture, but an unpleasant experience to something that's just gotten stretched. So now you're switch legs, so we'll review it by doing it on the other side. You hold on to the right knee, hug it to your chest, keep it cozy and comfortable. You begin to creep the left leg away on the floor. And you're not trying to have a straight leg. Straight leg has nothing to do with this at all. You are going to the point where you begin to feel the thread of that psoas muscle that's going across the brim of the pelvis and right into there through your adductor, or actually it's actually through your adductor muscles, right about there, just right next to your pubic bone. You just want to feel that. You just want to feel it, basically. You don't even want to necessarily feel it stretch. You want to go, oh, there, there, I feel that. And then you stay there, and just a reminder, you're pumping the opposite knee back into the floor. Pump, pump, your toe extends a little bit. Not a lot, just a little invitation. And only if you need the information. If you're getting plenty of information just resting, then don't bother. See, the thing about this work is that you're the only person that knows what's right. You're the only person that's the expert in your own sensory experience, and you're the only one that can make the right decision. I can't do that for you because I'm not inside you. So maybe you get to the point where you can lengthen your heel a little further, maybe not. And then again, this elaborate way to get off of the stretch, which is to roll towards your left leg so that your left leg is supported when you bring it into your chest. And then you can bring both knees back and lengthen, actually lift your pelvis up, lengthen one leg and the other on the floor. Boy, now you'll really feel a difference in your length. So draw your legs up as a test. Bring them down as a test. Absolutely undisturbed for me. Huge difference. So now take a moment on your back, and I'd like you to imagine that you're a slinky person. You have a very long slinky from your heel to your hip joint on your right leg. One big long slinky that's the length of your leg. So what I'm trying to help you to imagine is the volume of your leg, the three-dimensional circumference of your leg. It's bigger on the top, narrower at the bottom. Now there's another slinky that represents your left leg. See if you can etch that in for yourself, the diameter of the slinky as it goes around your calf and your knee, the lower part of your thigh, the bigger, thicker part of your thigh, all the way up to your hip joint. Then you have a giant slinky for your torso. And what's the diameter of that slinky circle that's your torso? How deep is it front to back? What part of the back of the slinky touches the floor? And then another slinky for your head, and a slinky for your right arm and your left arm. So now please draw your slinky legs up one at a time, feeling what happens as they bend in the knees. Roll yourself to your side and bring yourself up to standing. While you do that, I'm going to fix the camera, so just bring yourself up to stand. And I'm going to turn sideways to you. See what it feels like to feel your right leg as a circumference. You might think of it like a long telephoto lens. It's an aperture. It's a volume. Now what about the left leg? And begin to let yourself weave forward and back a little bit, and right and left a little bit, just like a tall conifer in the wind. Just a little bit of meandering, forward to back, right to left, whatever feels right, what you're looking for. And again, you have to seek this for yourself. is the sweet spot where you feel like both slinky legs are completely turned on. That doesn't mean muscularly active, it means balanced and in a sweet spot. And that your slinky torso is poised over your slinky legs, both of your slinky legs. That your ribs are not in front of your legs, that your ribs are not behind your legs, that your head is not in front of your ribs, that your head is not behind your ribs, but that all of those circumferences, all of those apertures, the aperture of the ankles, the aperture of the knees poises over the aperture of the ankles. The aperture of the hips poises over the aperture of the knees. The aperture of the pelvis over the hips. The aperture of the rib cage over the pelvis. The aperture of the shoulder girdle over the ribs. And the head and neck over the shoulders. So now you find yourself standing with length without distorting yourself by trying to look like a picture or a position or something that someone told you about squeezing your shoulders or sticking out your chest or tucking in your belt or flattening your stomach. That what you are is a sensory motor experience that is constantly negotiating with gravity and constantly balancing itself, just like someone walking a tightrope. So we'll stop there. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.